Solar storm alerts have been issued by NASA and the NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, for today and tomorrow. These are based on the solar storms that are originating from a co-rotating interaction region in our magnetosphere induced by fast and slow solar winds coming out of a big corona hole and the limb, the flank of a solar storm which occurred on the 30th of November, which just called up to us from sunspot 4299, which issued a X 1.9 class solar flare and coronal mass ejection. But that is not even the big story, because we got some really big sunspots facing us down right now that we've got to be concerned with, my friends. These are monster sunspots, and the one that fired off is not the monster. So buckle up. We're going to go into this, and so we may have bigger solar storms coming at us, some real big ones. And sometimes it's that 1-2 punch, 1-2-3 punch that really gets you, and we may be looking at some of that heading our way. So this, we're going to talk about a G1 and G2, and we'll talk all the way up through G3, what these alert levels mean, because we're currently in a G1 storm. It's not over the next 2 days based on the solar events that's already occurred, like the X19 flare from sunspot 4299, that we could be seeing possibly a G2 or G3, but we could have some much bigger ones coming here in the next day or two, my friends. So let's get into it. Let me do share to show you guys what we're looking at. It's what we're talking about. So I'm going to show you this flare. Hang on, guys. Give me a second. Ding, 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 ding. Well, come on. There it is, right there. That's from sunspot 4299. That looks pretty bad, don't it? 4299. An X 1.9 solar flare. So let's put this stuff in perspective real fast. That's the sunspot that clicked out the X 1.9. Yes, but look down here. Ooh, these are ugly. If you think that's bad, look down here. We got sunspot 4298, sunspot 4294, and sunspot 4296. These are the ones I'm most worried about. And this guy can pop off a X-class flare. We might see some smaller ones and some of these other ones. Yeah, we just bloated up here to give you guys some perspective for what we're looking at, how bad this could get. So guys, these are ginormous sunspot groups. Now you need really two spots for it to arc over. So now that one, this one could really be prime. This one is a fair fraction by itself size of the Carrington event complex. All these together are bigger, but typically you get your fire within one sunspot. It might be some collaboration between these guys that are so big and so close. I don't know, my friends. This is the one that's currently issuing. Oh wait, 42. Where's it at? Yeah, this is the one that's currently issuing the X19. But compare it to these guys down here. All right. So let's go into it. Look at this. Like I said, so we're in a G1. We may have a G2, G3. And the G1 has been partially initiated by the solar X19 solar flare. Remember, it was on the limb of the sun, mostly facing the other way. That and some effects from this coronal hole that we're facing, which is right here. So let's get into it. Here is the space weather report for the 2nd to 5th of December from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. It's a mouthful, NOAA. So they're in here saying we have chances for the G1s through G2s are basically moderate. They're basically moderate level. But we're talking about what's fired off from here and here. And this is where you get the co-rotating interaction region coming from 2 different speeds of solar wind. Apparently, there was a slower one coming, and then it had a faster one coming in behind it, caught up to it, and got our magnetosphere down. And then we got the limb of this flare that occurred right here, which I just showed you a minute ago. So let's look on over here. This is what we're looking at right now of ground magnetic perturbation maps. This is the current maps. And this is a nanotesla, delta B, and nanotesla. Delta B is magnetic field, change in magnetic field. So you can see it's pretty strong up in here. So you expect to see some aurora in these locations. So if we go back over here to the space weather and get out of this picture here and go in here and look for the aurora, yeah, you can see it's not over here, so see it on the nighttime side. That's what we're looking at right now. So this is about your co-rotating interaction regions. Reoccurring plasma structure in the heliosphere formed when a fast solar wind streams interact with slower solar wind stream ahead of it. So that's what that is. All right, so let's come over here and look at power grid impacts. This is what they're now. That looks scarier than it actually is. What they're talking about here is a maximum addition on our power grid in these purple bluish colored regions of 7.2 volts per kilometer. that's what you would get with a smaller level solar event threat like a G1 to G2, maybe a G3. So this is maximum, so that's probably based on the G3. This isn't the thing to scare the devil out of you. It's just to tell you what's happening. Now, this could go way higher should these bigger sunspots fire off, like the ones down here. Bing, bing, bing. If we get 4294 firing off, you could get much. If this guy gave you an X1 now, what can this guy do? What can it? Will it grow? Can these sunspots interact with each other? That's rare, but they're also close together there. It's almost like one group. Each sunspot has basically, a positive and negative or north and south pole to it in case, because it's magnetic fields. They got north and south. That's when you get those two poles that form a flux of charged plasma in the solar atmosphere, and it's corona. And when they twist and snap, it releases as a flare or a coronal mass injection. So it requires a circuit. Here we see two good ones. There's a couple regions here. This one is kind of isolated. So I don't know if it can interact with the stuff over here or maybe form a, that's kind of odd. But anyway, so that's what you got there. So this could go much bigger. So we're going to talk about what this means. A G1, which we're under a G1 right now, is minor. Power systems, weak power grid fluctuations can occur. Weak, that's 7 volts per kilometer. Spacecraft operations, a minor impact on satellite operations possible. Other systems, migratory animals are affected at this and higher levels. Auroras commonly visible in high latitudes, like northern Michigan and Maine. G2, power system, it goes up. Power systems, high latitude power systems may experience voltage alarms. Long duration storage may cause transformer damage if it occurs over a while. It can soak in. So let's just look. There's so much there. I can read all this stuff. We're going to focus on power systems. G3, power systems. Voltage corrections may be required. False alarms triggered, and some protection devices. You may get some minor failures. Surface charging on satellites. Intermittent satellite navigation, low frequency radio navigation issues. G4. Now we've been seeing G4 maybe up in the G5 some lately, weaker G5. This is your KP index that you see a lot of people talk about. You see, we've seen a lot of KP. Now, I think we're not KP 5 or 6 right now. I thought I had that open earlier. Over here, one of these sites will tell us what the KP is. I have to pick around. We're not going to do it right now. I had it open a little bit ago. Thought it was slow. Anyway, so severe Power systems have a possible widespread voltage control problems with some protective systems mistakenly tripping. All right, what we already got to worry about is G5. And even this is really the lower level. This isn't like an X45 storm. This is G5 can be generated by smaller storms. The X45 is everything burns up. This don't say that. They're not trying to alarm you. This should be a G6 category, really. Power systems. Widespread voltage control problems and protective system problems can occur. Some grid systems may experience complete collapse or blackouts. Transformers may experience damage. Spacecraft may experience extensive surface charging, extensive problems with orientation, uplink, downlight, or tracking satellites. Other systems. Pipeline currents can reach hundreds of amps. Now, see, that's a threat. That's a big threat. High voltage radio propagation may be impossible in many areas for 1 to 2 days. Satellite navigation may be degraded for days. Low frequency radio navigation may be up for hours, and aurora may be seen as far south as Florida and southern Texas. Well, we've had some of the weaker G5s recently, last year and a few weeks ago, because we definitely saw the aurora getting down to Florida and southern Texas. But this still wasn't anywhere near the level of a Carrington event. And we do know that storms can be a lot worse than Carrington events. There's something called Miyake events. So the Carrington event was believed to be an X45. The sun kicked out a Carrington event level storm in July of 2012 in the other direction, fortunately. So let's hope these sunspots that are facing us, they were pretty active when they were facing the other direction. Let's hope they stay calm until they swing around again, because those are loaded guns aimed right at us. Now, I talked more extensively about these threats in a recent video, my last video on this channel, which was civilization cycles, out our world at risk. And you can see in the thumbnail I put in the end of the world as we know it acronym there. Teotihuacan, the end of the world as we know it. And I talked about a lot of threats to our civilization and natural threats that do occur far more frequently than people want to think about. These are all good reasons to get yourself prepared, to be ready, because you just don't know what will be thrown at us from man, other people, or Mother Nature itself. The world is not nearly as stable as we had planned on when we built our fragile civilization. And that's what this is about, and that's what I'm warning you about. So just so that you can go, that didn't get that many views. I don't know why not, because there's a ton of information in that video. It is information packed. So I highly suggest you look at it next. The link is right up here. Come here and check that video out. I want to thank y'all for watching. Stay alert right now. Get your gas tanks filled up, and make sure you're stocked up with food as best you can, and beans and bang bangs, kibbles to feed your nug. Take that word and flip it around if you don't know what I'm talking about, my friends. But anyway, so be prepared. Eyes wide open. Head on a swivel, because you just never know what's coming at us. But we do see signs here that we could be getting hit by some bad stuff real soon. I said could. The potential is there. When you got big sunspots like that staring at you, ooh, that is not good. Anyway, my friends, thank you for watching. Greg